Did you know there's an NBA player who won the Finals MVP on a losing team? Or the one guy averaged a triple-double for the entire dang season? These aren't just some cool facts. These are stories of legends we let slip through the cracks as time goes on. You see, these forgotten NBA studs changed the game in ways we still see today. Their impact is cemented in every crossover, every clutch shot, and every posterizing dunk. But here's the thing. Most fans don't know their names, or even appreciate their legacy if they know their names. In this video, that's about to change. These are 10 NBA stars who deserve way more respect. These are the players who redefined positions, revolutionized strategies, and paved the way for today's superstars. Understanding their stories will change how you see basketball forever. Before you hop in one more GOAT argument, skill yourself up with basketball knowledge by watching this video. Let's start with the man whose silhouette shadow graces the NBA logo itself, Jerry West. You might remember him as the Finals MVP who lost. Yeah, you heard that right. In 1969, West Lakers fell to the Celtics, but his performance was so incredible, they had to give him an award anyway. That's the kind of player we're talking about. West wasn't just good, he was Mr. Clutch. Night after night, buzzer beater after buzzer beater, in the playoffs, his stats actually went up. He'd averaged 27 points, nearly 7 assists, and almost 6 rebounds. In other words, he was doing it all before doing it all was cool. But here's the real kicker. West's impact went way beyond the numbers. He set the standard for what it means to be clutch in the NBA. Now, speaking of doing it all, let's talk about Oscar Robertson. You know that triple-double season Russell Westbrook had a few years back? Well, the Big O did it first, in 1962. This dude had a stat line of 30.8 points, 12.5 rebounds, and 11.4 assists per game for an entire season. In the 60s, it's like he was playing a different sport than everyone else. But Robertson's legacy isn't just about the stats. He changed the game off the court, too. We'll dive deeper into that later, but let's just say he had a big hand in shaping players' rights and free agency. The freedom players enjoy today, a lot of that started with Oscar. Now let's move to the post. You've probably heard of the Dream Shake, right? That's all thanks to Hakeem Olajuwon. This guy revolutionized the center position with footwork that would make the ballet dancer jealous. Two-time champ, two-time Finals MVP, 12-time All-Star, Hakeem did it all. But it's not just about accolades. Olajuwon's impact is still felt today. That smooth footwork you see from big men, the ability to dominate on both ends of the floor, that's the Dream's influence. And trust me, we'll see more of how his legacy lives on later in the video. Now let's fast forward to the 90s and the 2000s, where we find a whole new crop of game changers who did their due. First up, Patrick Ewing. This guy was a beast in the paint, averaging 21 points, nearly 10 rebounds, and 2.4 blocks per game over his career. But here's the kicker. Ewing never won a championship. Does that make him any less of a legend? Absolutely not. You see, championships are great, but they're not everything. Ewing's impact on the game goes way beyond rings. He was the heart and soul of the Knicks, an 11-time All-Star who struck fear in his opponents every time he stepped on the court. His defense presence alone changed how teams played him. Speaking of changing the game, let's talk about Clyde Drexler. The Glide was a key member of the 1992 Dream Team. You know that little squad that revolutionized basketball on a global scale? Drexler's all-around game was something to behold. Scoring, rebounding, facilitating, you name it. He paved the way for the versatile wings we see dominating the league today. Now, if you want to talk about scoring explosions, look no further than Tracy McGrady. T-Mac was a walking bucket, a 7-time NBA All-Star who could drop 30 on you before you even realized what was happening. But he wasn't just a scorer. McGrady's playmaking as a forward was ahead of his time, influencing the point forward role we see in today's game. And speaking of versatile forwards, we can't forget Chris Webber. C-Web was a walking triple-double threat, averaging 20.7 points, 9.8 rebounds, and 4.2 assists over his career. He could run an offense from the power forward spot, a skill that was rare in the era but is almost expected in today's NBA. Now let's switch gears and talk about two players who proved their greatness comes in different forms. First up, Paul Pierce. The truth was clutch personified. The heart and soul of the Celtics for 15 years. As a consistent starter, he was the go-to guy when the game was on the line. Then there's Manu Ginobili, the six-man extraordinaire. Manu sacrificed individual stats for team success. coming off the bench to spark the Spurs to 4 championships. His willingness to embrace that role redefined how we view bench players in the NBA. Finally, let's talk about Vince Carter. Half man, half amazing. Wasn't just a cool nickname. It was a perfect description of Vincinity's game. His dunks were gravity-defying, his longevity was astounding, 22 seasons, and his impact on Canadian basketball was immeasurable. Carter didn't just play the game, he made it must-see TV. So what's the legacy of these forgotten legends? Just look at today's NBA. Nikola Jokic's versatility, that's Ewing and Weber's influence. LeBron's point forward skills, thank T-Mac for that. The Euro step that everyone's using, Manu Ginobili's gift to the game. And let's not forget Oscar Robertson fighting for the players' rights. Without him, free agency might not exist. These guys didn't just play basketball, they reshaped it. Their impact goes beyond stats and rings. It's every crossover, every clutch shot, every innovative play we see today. They pushed the boundaries, challenged the norms, and paved the way for the modern NBA. So next time you're debating basketball greatness, remember, there's more to legacies than just trophies. Who are your picks for the underrated legends? Let me know in the comments.